you can't teach visions. You got to see it for yourself. And not only see it for yourself, imagine when we brought in all these people from California, you know. We brought in 5,000 families from California, and that was not easy. Walkup was heading that team up, and I was his assistant. I was the hospitality bandwagon, you know. I got the job because they needed someone that could immediately hit the streets running, that knew this community. Not only knew the community, was respected in the community, had friends that in high places that could get us to where we needed to be. And that's why I got the job. Where do you go? Where do you start to get this information? What churches do we go to? What schools do we go to? What real estate? How do we go about doing all of this? They tell me what's going on, that they're going to shut the plants in California, and they need to bring the guts of those organizations, the brains of the organizations, to Tucson. But they already saw that none of them would be willing to come to Tucson. We don't have a beach, we don't have this, we don't have that. You know, who in their right mind would leave California to come to Tucson? That was their number one priority. How do we help them come to Tucson? Fridays and Saturdays, 400 employees would come every week, and the pitch was done. And me, I would talk about the community and we have, you know, because he said, my God, what are we going to do? There's nothing but snakes in Tucson. And no, we have the opera, we have the ballet, we have a symphony, we have the U of A, you know. So we did pretty terrific things. And you know, what is so wonderful for me to hear, and just lately, the Hughes Retirees Association was formed, and I was part of that for about 5 months. As I looked around that organizing committee, I thought, you're still here. You never went back to California. They're still here. I think that's probably what opened the floodgates, and all of a sudden Hughes became a community partner, and that's what was more important. We adopted Sunnyside, you know, because they had never been part of the community. They didn't know the magic that that company could do. What is in store for our future generations if we do not start today teaching them about culture, tradition, values, love the country that we live in, serve the community that you live in, and not taking things for granted, because that is the worst thing that I think could ever happen, is taking things for granted. We need to start grooming leaders, not people. Leaders, identify who those leaders are going to be here tomorrow that will take on the responsibility of looking ahead and thinking as where are we going? Where do we want to be in the next 15 years or the next 20 years? How do we go about doing that? When the mariachi conference was over, I always told John, it was such a wonderful thing, but it isn't something that should only last for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, because we don't go home and quit being Mexican Americans. And we do not quit believing in our traditions, our culture, our goals. All of a sudden, we were talking about establishing a Hispanic Cultural Center. And of course, we went ahead and moved out on bringing that about. It took us a few years to establish that, but surprisingly enough, because of the mariachi conference and because it was the same group of people and the same supporters that supported us from the day one with the mariachi conference, that the first ones to jump in and give us seed money for the Hispanic Cultural Center was my very own Hughes Aircraft Company.